everybody. Welcome into Fox and Friends Weekend and happy Palm Sunday.
Happy first day of spring, everyone.
We're celebrating both.
Yes.
But we're also following what's going on in the political world. There was a lot of drama out in Arizona yesterday. And so who better to join us this morning than the former governor of that state, Jan Brewer, who was with Donald Trump at his rally in the state. Governor, it's great to see you this morning.
Well, good morning. It's great to be with you all this morning.
So what's your take on what happened yesterday at the Trump rally? There was at least one anti-Trump supporter who was assaulted. He was punched in the rally on camera. And then outside, you saw anti-Trump demonstrators blocking a road into the rally. What was your take being there?
Well, overall, it was just an extremely successful day in Arizona for Donald Trump. Unfortunately, there were protesters there that were badly misbehaving and out of control. And, you know, it hasn't been unusual in Arizona to see where certain movements from across the country, they pay people, they come into Arizona and they create chaos. And it's so unfortunate because people drive from miles and miles. Arizona's a big state, to come and see people and to listen to them. And then they have these thugs, if you will, out there being very disruptive and out of control. And it's unfortunate. And it makes it look like it's everybody that is there is of that mindset, and it's not. It's just the few that come and create chaos. When people chain themselves around their neck to their cars and lay down in the street and back up traffic for 9, 10 miles, that's outrageous. You know, that's not a protest. That's breaking the rules, breaking the law.
Governor Brewer, what do you think the candidates on either side can do to try to calm things down?
Well, again, you know, I think that, you know, certainly with Mr. Trump, he tells them, you know, that they want to be peaceful and they need to behave. But unfortunately, you've got organizations throughout America that they come in groups, and that's what they do. That's their living. I mean, it's not anything different than like when I signed 1070. They bust them in from Texas and from California, and they created chaos. And, you know, they were saying terrible things. They had the American flag on the ground, walking on it, and painting on our windows with pinto beans, and just horrible things. So, you know, it's unfortunate, and it shouldn't. And I think that the media picks up that it's like the candidates are creating this. That's not true. That is simply not true. Yesterday was fabulous. Donald is doing really, really well in Arizona. I think that he's going to win overwhelmingly on Tuesday, and he's got 56% of the vote and take him into the general election. So.
I want to talk about immigration specifically now. Bernie Sanders at a rally yesterday addressing the idea of a wall. Of course, that's been a hot-button issue, one that Donald Trump has put forth, saying that the Mexican government is going to pay for this wall. Here's what Bernie Sanders had to say yesterday.
Pope Francis has made the point that we should be building more bridges, not more walls. The so-called immigration problem we face today, at this particular moment, is a trumped-up and exaggerated problem. More people are leaving the United States to go back to Mexico, and in fact, that are coming here from Mexico. We don't need a wall, and we don't need barbed wire. We need to fix our broken criminal justice system. We need to take 11 million undocumented people out of the shadows, out of fear. We need to provide them with a path toward citizenship.
So the new poll out this morning on U.S. immigration, 61% say that continued immigration into the country jeopardizes the United States, perhaps why Donald Trump is resonating so well in Arizona. What do you take of Bernie Sanders' comments? We don't need a wall. We need to bring out these 11 million illegal immigrants, bring them out of the shadows.
False. Bottom line is that we are a country, and a country without borders is like a house without walls. It collapses. And Arizona has been the recipient of a lot of the illegal immigration coming across the border. And with it, as everyone knows, comes crime. And we have people that have been injured, and we have seen the heartbreak and the suffering of people that have been exposed to the criminal element.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's killing our economy. And again, it's like Hillary Clinton. You know, I signed legislation when I was governor to prohibit benefits to illegals, and now she wants to expand Obamacare. Well, Mr. Sanders, who's going to pay for all of this? We can't afford it. You know, our budgets are tight now. Let's take care of the people that are citizens of Arizona.
Well, you mentioned people who've been touched by the criminality. We just spoke to one of them, Steve Ronnebeck, whose 21-year-old son was murdered in a convenience store by an illegal alien. Here's part of our conversation with him a minute ago.
We're all frustrated. It's heartbreaking. This is something that's happening almost on a daily basis now, that we have illegal immigrant criminals that are committing murder or rape or numerous child predator type actions. These families are left in disbelief that, you know, we have a president that is basically saying to the Border Patrol, stand down or find another job.
So I'd never heard this story, I'm sure you know it well, but why all the emphasis on the rights of immigrants and almost no conversation at all about the rights of Americans who've been harmed by immigration?
It is unbelievable, and we hear these stories continually, and it breaks your heart. I just read a report that where 138 illegal immigrants had been released, and out of that, 125 illegal immigrants that had been released committed 138 murders here in the United States, and we see it all the time. But this kind of criminal activity doesn't ever seem to get in the newspaper. Everybody just sort of turns a blind eye, and we're not going to tolerate it anymore. The people of America are not going to tolerate it anymore, and Donald Trump has resonated. Build that wall, protect his people. He will listen, because the federal government has failed us. And when you hear stories of the gentleman from Mesa that spoke to you about his young son, 21 years old, working at a Circle K, murdered, and that's just an example. There's lots of them. I mean, as a mother, as a father, I mean, that's devastating. That's absolutely devastating. And they want to legalize all of these people? Come on.
Yeah, and that father's heart still breaking. This happened just about a year ago. And he says that it shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be an American issue, but it is a partisan issue. Why and how can that be changed if you think that's the case?
Well, you know, everybody can speculate and think about why they leave the borders open and that they don't do their job. A lot of us believe that they want them here. Bottom line is if they didn't, they would let the Border Patrol do their job and enforce the rule of law on the border. But they're told to stand down. They don't give them the equipment. So we need a president that will stand up, listen to the people, and protect us, because the federal government has failed us totally. A lot of people speculate that they want to bring them in, and so they can vote. Register them as Democrats. It's illegal, and the people will say no more, and I agree with them totally.
Yep. Governor Jan Brewer of Arizona, we appreciate you taking some time out this morning to talk with us. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Governor.
Great to see you.
Thank you.